understood what he was there to do. As I said, he seemed to be without portfolio, doing whatever it is that he wanted to take interest in.
This is the only known video footage of James Steele. As a civilian, he had no place in a military chain of command, yet he exercised enormous power in Iraq. The man on his left is the Special Forces Colonel, James Kaufman. He reported directly to General Petraeus. Initially, the security situation in Iraq was relatively stable, and the task of training the police continued. But then everything changed. The intensity of the Sunni insurgency surprised the Americans. US soldiers started being killed in increasing numbers. Flag-draped coffins were being shipped home with numbing regularity. The war was becoming unpopular in the United States. George Bush's 2004 re-election was being threatened by the crisis in Iraq. American soldiers were dying at the hands of Sunni Muslims who had lost the most from the fall of Saddam. Now Rumsfeld decided to arm the old enemies of Saddam and his Sunni supporters, the Shia militias.
Of course that doesn't work.
Saddam had killed tens of thousands of Shia during his rule, and now the Shia militias were only too happy to help the Americans put down the Sunni uprising. It was classic counterinsurgency. Paul Wolfowitz announced the policy change before a Senate committee.
The approach to those militias is to try over time to integrate them into new Iraqi security forces.
Shia militia from all over the country came in truckloads to Baghdad to join the new special police commandos. They were enraged by suicide bombings of Shia civilians and assassinations and kidnappings by Sunni insurgents and Al-Qaeda militants.
I wonder when this was written.
It was their time in power, an opportunity to take revenge upon former regime elements that had harmed them.
Iraq was on the path towards a sectarian civil war.
The Saravina base. That's something.
The US Defense Secretary, Donald Rumsfeld, confirmed the new policing strategy in May 2004.
I've been reading about how we're trying to make efforts of placing Iraqi militia to handle the insurgents in Iraq.
We had a discussion with General Petraeus yesterday. I had a briefing today from a man named Steele who has been out there working with the security forces and doing a wonderful job as civilian, as a matter of fact.
James Steele, the counterinsurgency expert, was now the man of the moment. His job would be to build a police commando force.
Jim Steele is a retired Army colonel with incredible
power.
bravery and also incredible expertise about police forces in third world countries. He's been in Iraq for the last year.
The police units would increasingly be made up of members of Shia militias like the Badr Brigades. Their job was to hunt down Sunni insurgents and their sympathizers. Like El Salvador, it would be a bloody and brutal business. There was no place in this new regime for a conventional police chief like Ahmed Karim. He was offered a new posting at the United Nations in New York. James Steele was clearing house.
That's a generator.
Yes, you should go abroad for a while. Get some rest. They asked me to leave without fuss. I'm escorted to the airport by my bodyguards. And Steele.
There was also the end of the line for Douglas Brown.
Rumsfeld decided that police training was carried by military people. That was a direct instruction from Rumsfeld. We had a need for some group on the street, so we still on. That's where that third force concept came from, this paramilitary special police command unit. They operate under more of the rules of engagement, which is a military term.
Rumsfeld's choice to take overall command of this new policing strategy was a military star in the making. General David Petraeus was much admired by the American media. The commandos would become the cutting edge of this ambitious general's war against the insurgents.
Now, I spent a little bit of time at where you were training the police commandos, and I got the strong impression that you're putting a lot of priority on the police force today.
Well, we've helped them develop these special police units. Some of them were their own initiative initially, and great initiatives, like the Special Police Commandos, which they now have 9 battalions of those forces, 8 of which are in active operations right now.
A directive by General Petraeus ordered the formation of these units. But the people who were directly supervising us were Colonel Kaufman and the advisor, James Steele.
Adnan Tarbit, seen here at James Steele, was a Sunni Iraqi general who had been imprisoned by Saddam. He now headed the Special Police Commandos, which were financed from a $2 billion fund controlled by General Petraeus.
General David Petraeus visited me and he started talking with my soldiers. They were all playing press-up games together, and you could see the seriousness of our training. And after that, he sent me 2 advisors, Steve and Colonel Kaufman. After this first visit by General Petraeus, he promised he would help us in every possible way. And the first help we received from him was he sent me a shipment of 150 large pickup trucks.
It was the first time the Americans could work with a significant Iraqi force that knew the lay of the land and where to find the insurgents. Senior advisors Steele and Kaufman directed the search for the insurgents.
How would you describe the growth of interaction between Iraqi and American in this particular area?
Particularly these advisor teams, you know, they live, sleep, and fight, and sometimes die along each other. They have become one band of brothers. It's the brotherhood of the close fight.
With James Steele at his side, Adnan Tarbit's commandos grew into a 5,000-strong force with a fearful reputation in the streets of Iraq. Steele made a strong impression with the high-level, even battle-hardened Iraqis he worked with.
The best description for him is that he lacks human feeling. I mean, the number of wars he's witnessed and the various methods of torture that must have been committed, whether in Iraq or elsewhere, somehow their hearts have died.
General Muntader al-Samari is a former general in the Iraqi army. After the invasion, he worked with the Americans to rebuild the police force. But Muntader was very disturbed by the abuse and torture he witnessed being committed by the police commandos. He tried on a number of occasions to stop it. He has never spoken before about the part the US played in running the Special Police Commandos.
The Ministry of Interior had 14 to 15 prisons. They were secret, never declared. But the American top brass and the Iraqi leadership knew all about these prisons. The things that went on there. Killing, murder, torture. The ugliest sorts of torture I've ever seen.
General Muntader alleges that James Steele had access to all of these prisoners, and that he visited one in Baghdad with him.
Yes, that's James Steele. That's what he always used to wear. Jeans and a leather jacket. I remember he always wore his gun here, on the right-hand side.
Dr. Mofak Al-Rubai was Iraq's national security advisor through the worst years of the war. He met James Steele at high-level security meetings.
James Steele for me was a mysterious guy. We sat in the meeting and he came alive on the chair and sat there. He did not introduce himself to me. You don't get anybody else. There were only Sanchez, Rahman, myself, Minister of Defense and Minister of Interior, and him. Full stop.
Yes.
Very respectable.
Well done!
One of the main bases of operation for the commandos was the ancient city of Samara. The area was a center for the Iraqi insurgency. It was also Adnan Thabit's hometown, and he was determined to inflict a major defeat on the
Now
insurgents
what?
and their sympathizers.
Found a note back there. Had some codes on it.
With James
This
Steele
is a
advising,
WLF
Adnan
safe house
Thabit's commandos
called
flooded the city, going door to door, taking hundreds of men from their homes
So
to
we
the
find it?
interrogation center.
Hopefully we find our first WLF.
U.S. Army medic
Get them to
Neil
talk.
Smith was in Samara during
Let's
the
do it.
months-long struggle to control the city.
We're up on the government zone.
Oh, shit, look.
And where the police
Saravina
station
Hotel.
was actually right across the
That's gotta
front
be it.
where the commandos were headquartered. So there are all these special commandos there hanging out, and they wore
It's kind of way
gray,
past this,
like pretty much every
fuck Fedra gate.
elite military
Very
unit
creative.
in the world does.
Gets right to the point.
They were
Let's
well
get closer and scope it out.
like the NY commandos all had these brand new Dodge Ram pickups that were painted in camouflage, and they all looked like they had new weapons and new uniforms.
Samara was the first place that the connection between James Steele and the activities of the police commandos
Do you know the
was
code?
made known to the
The
outside
note I
world.
found has a bunch of them. But
New York
we
Times
need to get power to the
journalist
gate
Peter Marks
first.
convinced General Petraeus to allow him and photographer Gilles Perez to visit the commandos in Samara. Their host was James Steele.
What I heard is prisoners screaming all night long. You know, at which point you had the young US captain take these soldiers.
Okay, here we go.
Gilles Perez stopped the photographs, capture how the commandos worked in Samara. James Steele crops up
It's
in
out of
these
gas.
photographs repeatedly.
God damn it. Well, what do we do now? Oh shit. The note. What?
The
The note mentioned that there's gas in the courthouse garage and the dome.
Alright.
Courthouse garage and the dome.
So what's the plan for finding these places?
We ride around and see what we see.
You think Tommy came through here?
He did.
Adnan Thabit and the American military made the joint decision to set up the commando headquarters and interrogation center in the city's main library.
So, where are
We
we?
spoke to two men from Samara who were imprisoned in the library. Still fearful, they asked us to conceal their identities.
Pretty sure we're here.
Ah, nice.
Behind our backs.
We'll mark it up as we
Then they
go.
would beat us with shovels and pipes. We'd be tied to a spit. We would be hung from the ceiling by our hands, and our shoulders would be dislocated.
They electrocuted me. They hung me from the ceiling. They were pulling at my ears with pliers, stamping on my head, asking me about my wife, saying they would bring her here.
What the hell happened out here? I'm guessing the military bombed shit out of this place.
Why would they do that?
And sometimes destroyed parts of the city and lost to the infected. Or the rebels. That seems like overkill. No. It usually worked.
On the infected or the rebels?
Both. Oh shit. Believe me. You're lucky you didn't grow up in a QZ.
Perez
I'm
were
starting
about
to get
get
that
an
impression.
unprecedented glimpse into this clandestine world.
we kind of walk into the entrance area, and the first thing that I see is one of the Iraqi guards beating up one of the Iraqi prisoners. And then I'm taken not into the main area, kind of the main hall, although out of the corner of my eye I can see there were a lot of prisoners in there with their hands tied behind their backs. I was taken to a side office where the Saudi was brought in, and there was actually blood dripping down the side of the desk in this office.
I'm in a room in the library,
Bringing
and I'm looking around, I see blood everywhere.
And while this interview was going on, me and the Saudi with Jim Steele also in the room, there were these terrible screams. There was somebody shouting, Allah, Allah, Allah. But it wasn't, kind of religious ecstasy or something like that. These were screams of pain and terror.
We asked General Adnan why he thought the prisoners were screaming.
Maybe sometimes when officers visit the prisons, the prisoners do start shouting. They're a bit like whirling dervishes. They love to scream.
They were so loud and they were so disturbing that Steele left
Ration
the room to
distributions.
find out what was going on because
In Boston,
breaking
we lined
up
up for
our
blocks.
interview. And
The food
while he was
sucked.
gone,
I go crazy.
and then he came back into the room and
Some
the
people
interview
did.
continued.
The other guys are being tortured, as we speak. The blood stain.
Check out those stained glass windows.
Some of them. There are
I don't
some
see many of
prisoners
those.
who never confess. You have to use tough means to make them confess. All kinds of means. Torture is not humane. I don't approve of it.
Fuel distribution.
There are some
Here we go.
procedures. You need to
Further
understand.
secure the
You have
shit
to
out of
follow.
this place.
In order to
Boston
make
always had
criminals
food shortages. Hungry people get desperate.
I remember Adnan Talbot came into the library and he told Captain Darade and Captain Ali, go easy on the prisoners, don't dislocate their shoulders. This was because people were having to undergo surgery when they were released from the library.
General Adnan had his own explanation for the bloody desk, witnessed during Mass and Perret's interview with James Steele in the library.
Can you get through?
ولله يبغى يسجون يعني.
Alright, I got you.
What we have to do was to make sure that the terrorists didn't have any sharp knives or anything they could harm themselves with, because they used to cut themselves with us. James Steele wouldn't remain silent about this. I'm surprised by this.
Although James Steele did not respond to our requests for an interview about his activities in Samara, he did tell the New York Times that he opposes human rights abuses.
Nice and quiet.
One American soldier in Samara was deeply affected by what he saw.
At the time, I just felt like everybody did, and nobody cared that there was torture going on.
Army medic Neil Smith remembers just how frightened Iraqi civilians in Samara were, especially his commandos.
What was pretty wild battalions that were going up was that they were pretty violent with their interrogations, so they would shock them with electrical shock, stab them. I don't know what all those sounds like pretty awful things. If you sent the guy there, he was going to get tortured and perhaps
Who was tied up with his legs above his head. Tied up. And his whole body
I think that's all of them. I don't get it. If there were still people around,
which he had been
we would have cleared this place up. Maybe they didn't make it here. Maybe.
The clear
Let's find that
priority
gas.
at that time in Iraq was to not have this incredibly shaky provisional government defeated by the insurgency. That was priority number one, to which every other priority, democracy, human rights, etc., was subordinate.
Petraeus defended his record with the police commandos to PBS Frontline's Martin
Hey,
Smith.
Ellie.
He said
This place
he
is a
was aware
synagogue.
of individual militia members in the commandos, but not militia
How can you
groups.
tell? One, there are menorah decorations on the wall. It's a Jewish thing. And two, I didn't burst into flames just now, so
Burst into flames?
it's just a dumb joke.
To have prevented
Oh, unlike your other
development of
ones.
these militias that
You
were
shut it.
well developing.
I again don't. I have not seen.
This place brings back a lot of memories. My sister used to drag me to a synagogue all the time.
To find the absolute evidence of this has
You
actually
never
been
struck
quite
me as much
difficult.
of a believer.
But Jerry Burke,
Nah,
who is a
but I like
senior
coming from a
advisor
long
in
line of
police
survivors.
affairs to the Iraqi
You mean after
Interior
Outbreak?
Ministry, says that
No.
Petraeus must have
And the
known
Inquisition.
that organized
And the
Shia
Holocaust.
militia were dominant in
My
the police
family always made it
commandos.
out alive.
He had to have known. These things were discussed openly, whether it was in staff meetings or before or after various staff meetings and general conversation. Pretty much the whole world in Iraq knew that the police commandos were a battle brigade. He must have known about the death squad activities and his common knowledge of.
Even Petraeus' own special advisor in the military chain of command, Colonel James Hoffman, was, according to many witnesses, working side by side with James Steele in the detention centers where torture was taking place. Colonel Kaufman declined to be interviewed by us. About General Petraeus' relationship with James Steele, the official speaking for the general
Here we
said,
go.
Steele was one of thousands of advisors to Iraqi
God damn
units
it.
working in
Hey,
the area of the Iraqi
language.
police.
House of worship.
Journalist Peter
It's
Mouse,
empty.
who interviewed
That
Petraeus at
sucks.
the time,
Now what?
remembers the relationship being a lot closer
Let's try our
than
luck at the
Petraeus'
courthouse
statement
garage.
would indicate.
It was
get out of
very clear that they were very close to each other in terms of their command relationship and also in terms of their ideas and ideology about what needed to be done. Petraeus explicitly told me that he believed very, very strongly in the commandos. The commandos were successful and wanted them to become bigger and even more prevalent in the fight
Do you
against
still
insurgency.
pray?
Sometimes.
International humanitarian law imposes
I
obligations
said
on
when
those
we left
engaged in
Jackson.
armed conflict
I said
regarding
when
the
at Joel's
treatment of
grave.
prisoners. Not
Sometimes
only
I
must
just
prisoners not be
say little ones
abused,
to
but
myself.
those detaining prisoners also have an obligation to ensure respect
I think
as
it
well.
calms me.
It is not acceptable
Helps me
to
put
turn
things in
blind
perspective.
eye.
It's a
There's
way
absolutely
to deal with
responsibility
grief.
for every U.S.
A
serviceman.
way to show respect.
Inhumane treatment
It's what I know.
being conducted, to intervene, to stop it.
I don't think you really have an obligation to physically stop it. It's to
If they're physically present when inhumane treatment is taking place, they have an obligation to try to stop it.
But the masses of secret Iraq war communiques released by WikiLeaks showed that US soldiers were routinely handing prisoners over to the Iraqi police force, even before the police commandos were officially launched. The top US military knew from the soldiers' daily logs that torture was going on inside detention centers. They even issued a new official military order in June 2004. It was called Bravo 242. It directed US troops to note, but not investigate, torture of Iraqis by Iraqis, unless ordered to take action by headquarters. But later that month, members of the Oregon National Guard were so disturbed by the abuse they witnessed at a police detention center that they intervened to try and stop it.
I saw some horrific things. I saw
Thanks for the help.
one room that had 75 prisoners all crammed into one small space, and they asked
This
for
way.
food, they asked for
Right
help,
behind you.
and they asked for medical aid. We gave them every bit of scrap of food that we had, every bit of water. You can see evidence of a torture chamber where they had a broken lamp, where they used electrical shock, and it's quite evident what they had been doing to these fellows.
Sutherland's commander approached the man who appeared
What's
to be in
this?
charge of this
Oh, this is the
torture
Torah.
center. According
what?
to Sutherland, the man
It's
immediately got on the
scripture.
telephone to
It's like
US
a-
military headquarters.
Like a Jewish Bible.
Right after he made that phone call,
My
the
sister
order
would've
came
flipped for
that
this.
we were to stand down.
The one we
We're-
used in New
we're to
Mexico
pull
was
away right now.
half burned.
I know that that order came from
All
someplace
right.
very high.
Well, At least they didn't
went
just chuck
directly back to
everything.
our compound, and the commander called us all in there together and told us that what we saw didn't happen and to forget about it.
But the Oregonians didn't forget. They went to the American press and blew the whistle. A high-level U.S. military
Hey, what are you
investigation
doing?
followed, and
I
the
can get to the
torture
other
stopped
balcony
there.
with this.
There is no evidence that Steele was involved in this incident.
Ellie,
But a
be
year
careful.
later, the special
okay.
commandos took over the
It's holding.
facility and used it for interrogation and torture.
I think there's great continuity, and really, if you go back to Vietnam, to the nature of the regular warfare, and the fact that there's always a sort of a dark side. It's not called dirty war for nothing. So it's no surprise to see individuals who are associated and sort of know the ins and outs of that kind of war reappear at different points in these conflicts. After a few months of Steele in El Salvador, I didn't have any contact with him whatsoever until I saw that Peter Moss article.
Nothing
and
to
saw
it.
that, oh, he's in
Come on,
Iraq.
Nina. Right.
Chop chop.
I first heard about Colonel James Steele going to Iraq, and I said they're going to implement what is known as a Salvadoran option in Iraq, and that's exactly what happened. And I was devastated because I knew the atrocity that was going to occur in Iraq, which we knew had occurred in El Salvador.
It was not surprising that a warrior like James Steele would appear again. He had been sidelined by the U.S. military after a congressional committee decided that he had lied about his role in Oregon Knight's
Okay.
illegal gun running
That's the dome off
operation
the list.
against the left-wing government.
go find a
in
courthouse.
Nicaragua. However,
Might be worth
his
grabbing
work
some
in El
supplies
Salvador
before
had
we
not
press
been
on.
forgotten by powerful Washington insiders, like Vice President Dick Cheney, who knew Steele. Cheney was the first senior American politician to draw parallels between El Salvador and Iraq.
Today, El Salvador is a whale of a lot better because we held free elections. The power of that concept is enormous. It will apply in Afghanistan and it will apply as well in Iraq.
Dick Cheney, as a congressman, made any number of visits to Central America, as did members
peaceful out here.
of the Reagan administration.
It's weird being an QZ
who
and not hearing
were
trucks.
the forerunners of
Gunfire
the
and
conservatives
explosions.
that then come into office
My sister always
and
avoided
really
QZs.
take that whole approach
That's probably
to its
why.
next level in Iraq.
She just got more and more paranoid. She'd sometimes wake up screaming in the middle of the night.
And saw that
Hey, I think I found the courthouse. How can you tell? See that sign up there? On the building that says courthouse?
The U.S. military advisor in charge of
Nice
this
work,
was Jim
detective.
Steele. That's probably more
Mark this place on the map.
when I started to hear reports a few months later that that particular unit was carrying out death squad activities in
I'll
Iraq.
try.
The publication by
looking.
WikiLeaks of thousands of diplomatic cables show that by July 2005, the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad was telling Washington about the abuse being committed by the commandos. We also learned that Adnan Tarbet was a guest at the American Embassy in Baghdad. He met the U.S. ambassador for counterterrorism and talked about his approach to policing. This is an extract from what he's reported to have said.
Summary: fight terror with terror. Major General Tabet, who created and commands the Special Police Forces, is a Sunni officer who served time in prison for attempting to overthrow the Saddam regime. They expressed the view that it is necessary to fight terror with
Hear
terror,
that?
and that it is critical that their forces be respected and feared,
from the
as
courthouse.
this was what was required in
This is
Iraqi
gonna suck,
society to
isn't it?
command authority.
At least we're ready for him.
We asked Ambassador Compton if he had been aware that Adnan Tarbet's commandos were engaged in torturing detainees.
Well, I assure you, if I knew there was torture going on at that time with the people I was talking to, I would have raised it and discussed it. You're implying that I didn't know that, and I resent that question, the way you phrased it, frankly.
But there are indications that the US government knew what the commandos were doing.
We remain troubled by the indications that at times units commanded by Tabet crossed the line.
Despite these concerns, Adnan Tarbit remained officially in charge until the middle of 2006. He told us that the American officials he dealt with were aware of what his men were doing.
Until I left, the Americans knew about everything I did. They knew what was going on in the interrogations, and they knew the detainees. And even some of the intelligence about the detainees came to us from them. They are lying.
The police commandos were growing in numbers and importance. They had a national headquarters in Nisour Square in Baghdad. It could hold around 1,000 detainees at any one time, and was the nerve center of a national network of interrogation centers. This notorious detention center was situated just outside the fortified Green Zone and less than a mile from the American and Iraqi Joint Command. Major General Muntada remembers that James Steele and Petraeus' military advisor, James Kaufman, were a constant presence here. He says they were there to receive the high-value detainees from the so-called intelligence committees that operated at each regional commando center.
Actually, how the hell did you get in here?
James Steele would come to meetings every day in Nisour Square. We'd all have a big lunch feast together. On a daily basis, the Americans, because Nisour Square was near the American base, they had breakfast with General Adnan Tarbit, and then at 12 midday, they had lunch with him. They didn't leave Nisour Square until very late at night.
Two Iraqi generals who worked with Steele say that one of Steele's responsibilities was to give the commandos lists of people that the Americans wanted picked up. Steele would then allegedly arrange to transfer them to a US-run interrogation center at Baghdad Airport.
Colonel Steele is one of the few people who understand how to organize operations against specific targets in the leadership and operational cells of an insurgency terrorist organization.
Getting that intelligence from detainees is routine for American military.
One of the detainees was screaming. By chance, James